Hi, friend.
Hi, friend. Are you ready
Ready for what?
to level up?
Okay, girl, let's get started. Hi, friends. Welcome to another episode of Level Up with Raman and Alysha. We already did this part. Go ahead.
On today's episode, we'll be talking about horrible bosses and why people leave their job.
Yeah, so basically, Raman and I have, at one point in our lives...
I think everybody's had a horrible boss.
Yeah.
Whether it was when you were younger and it was a part-time job or, whether you're in a full-time position and you hate your current boss. I feel like everybody at some point has hated their boss. And if you have had all good bosses, then either...
Kudos to you.
There's either something wrong with your bosses or something wrong with you.
That's a good one. Yeah, so, there's something obviously wrong with you if you don't, if you love your boss, right? Listen, we've had good bosses, bad bosses, and have you ever had those bosses that are undercover bitches, but yet they act nice to your face, but then they, undercover throw you under the bus to their VPs and directors, and then you're all of a sudden in shit?
This sounds like a personal experience.
At our company.
I know. We have, Alysha and I have mutually...
We went through a lot of bosses there, actually. You're right.
Yeah. You know what? So there's the type of employee that kind of goes through one boss, and when you change positions, you change it to the next boss and the courses. And then there's those companies that me and Alysha have kind of gone through where in the same role, we have gone through maybe 5 bosses in 1 year, which was honestly at the time we were like, is this even real right now? This sounds ridiculous. We are in the same role and this restructuring is happening so much that we had a new boss every couple of months, and it was almost like you have to build rapport with a new boss all over again. And there was a point where we were like, is there even a point?
Yeah, we were. And you know what? So Raman and I we mentioned this before. We started off on contract when we started at this company. And then we got switched to another manager before we even got to go permanent. We were really upset at the time because we were like, great, now we have to redo all this hard work we've done to reprove ourselves just to get permanent. And luckily, we lucked
were very
out.
lucky.
He was amazing.
Yeah.
And God rest in peace. He did pass away last year. But, he was an amazing boss. Yeah. He was such a sweetie
He was
pie.
probably out of the 5 bosses that we had, he was one of the best, right?
He was so chill.
He was so chill. Had a team of strong opinionated women.
Yeah, and he handled it
so well. And
remember those little looks he would do and then laugh after we would say something outrageous to him?
Yeah. I remember at my first full-time job when I got out of school, my first boss that I had was amazing. She was somebody I saw myself as a mentor. And I think when there comes a point in your age when you are looking at a boss, you do want some sort of mentor. You want somebody that you could learn from, somebody you could grow with, somebody who also wants to see you grow, right? Yeah. You don't just want a manager, especially
you want someone who can coach you.
You want a coach, right?
Yeah.
And this person was somebody I saw as a coach. I'm like, this is amazing to have this person as my manager in my first full-time job.
That's amazing.
And then she got another job.
Aww.
And then,
she coached so well, she left.
You know what? And I remember the last conversation I had with her. She's like, I'm so confident in you, and great things are coming your way and stuff like that. But then what happened was the new person that took over was not anywhere by means close to this person, right?
Aww.
So then it was a complete switch. I went from almost loving my job to kind of dreading coming in because the new manager was so micromanaging, had different ways, it wasn't a coach or a mentor. It was just kind of having a boss that just wants to see what you're doing and kind of that,
Yeah.
So I feel like it impacted how much I liked my job because I went from feeling very proud in my role and very enthusiastic and excited to being oh my God, I have to see this person again today.
Oh, that's the worst.
And it was just, I think it did impact me wanting to leave as well. As hard as it is.
Yeah, I get that. I didn't get a mentor and a boss till I left the company we worked with at that job, that the girl who interviewed me and then came back 3 months later to still take me with her. I really liked her. And, you know, she treated me so right, even though we were in 2 different provinces. She still made me feel like I was part of her team 100%, kept me in the loop, fully communicated with me whenever shit was going down, what was coming next. I was never surprised in my position, and yet we were so far from each other.
Yeah.
And she taught me so much that I've carried on now to my next positions because of her. She taught me. And, you know, I really looked up to her because she was a very strong, independent woman. And she had great fashion sense. But she was also such a cutie pie. Like, she would even come to Ontario to see her family and call me up and be like, hey, let's go for lunch.
Aww.
And, like, take me out to dinner and lunch when I was there. And even ask me, like, she even gave me advice as a manager to say, well, you just got married, so you really should, like, find time to have babies. Because, like, that's one thing I didn't do, and I think you need to make that a priority. And I thought that was really nice coming from a manager point of view, because most managers wouldn't even touch that topic.
Especially, like, you never would think a male manager saying that to their female subordinate, right?
But she was female.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
like,
but
you
a
would,
male.
Yeah, like, and it's unfortunate, right? Because you would never see, like, a male manager, and I hate to say this, but I have never seen a male manager say this, and I've had male and female managers to be like, oh, you just got married, and take some time, or whatever the case is.
So basically, my thing is this, though. Talking about horrible bosses, can we talk about the fact that you just brought up a male manager? And, like, as a woman, we don't just have periods. As a female, we have so many issues. And the reason I say this is because I'm around women right now in my organization that are going through more than one thing. One is possibly going through menopause. One is dealing with something called fibrosis. And I'm dealing with PCOS. So you don't have normal day issues. Yeah. Like everyone else from all 3 different things we're going through. You can have problems that last longer than normal women and stuff like that. Hormones are outrageous. We've talked about this. But the fact that how do you convey that message to a male manager that, hey, like, I've been on my flow for 30 days and I'm about to faint. I need to go home. How do you fucking say that?
Yeah.
You can't.
I don't even think they would begin to understand, right?
Or know where you're coming from.
Unless it's like an older manager, his wife is going through it, he's very like sympathetic and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just, and I do think like males just think like females have a period like 5 days and that's about it. It's like their time of the month. But yeah, like a situation where it's like, yeah, no, I've been bleeding for 30 days and I'm frustrated and I need a day off or whatever the case is, or I'm not feeling well today, I need to go home. I feel like if we were to go up to a male manager, I'd be like, I'm not feeling well today, I need to go home. Or say like, you know, we can't even bring up the menstrual thing. No. We can't, because then it's like seen as like, oh, women. A cliche. Yeah, it's a cliche. You're using it as an excuse and stuff like that. So
but it's not a fucking excuse.
Yeah. But it, like we said, it could be not just like a normal period. It could be like something bigger than that. It could be something that's not even period related. Some other.
If you're out there and you're a male manager, I need you to go back and rewind and listen to our podcast that we talked about, Shark Week. Periods are so underestimated. Please go learn about it, because go listen to that before you finish listening to this.
Yeah. And yeah,
educate yourself.
Yeah, females feel uncomfortable going up to male managers and talking about all this stuff, right?
Have you ever felt like you also can't go to a female and talk about this sometimes because they're so like, you know, they're so like bitchy, or like, oh, that's just an excuse you're using because they refuse to be part of the feminism crew and think they're higher up than you because they have that position?
Okay, the whole like a lot of the having the discussion about like, okay, there are different types of workers, and I think that will be another podcast about, there are workers that do kind of use this as an excuse every month. Like if you are, okay, if I was a manager and every month I'm hearing the same thing over and over again, I think, yeah, that would be a different story versus, yeah, if you are going through a situation that's like different than everybody else, right? And if you're having like a bad day versus like what you're having a bad day like every month at a certain point of time, like I think in that terms there's different things I feel about that, like if I were looking at it from a manager perspective, because you got to understand, like, they're just looking at productivity. But in terms of, yeah, I feel like we're not 100% all the time. And, you know, we do have those days. And in terms of...
You're moving too much.
Yeah, and you were...
I'm trying to focus.
Oh my god, that was so funny. Oh my god. That was super funny.
I'm doing really great. Continue.
You're doing really great. You're doing really great. This is what happens when you drink and you do podcasts, guys. But I mean, I feel like, okay, so this was a statistic that I saw, I don't even know how many years ago. So to be honest, I don't know if this is the 2021 stats, so don't quote me on it. But I do recall the number one reason why people leave their job is because of their manager. It's not because of their pay. It's not because of like a work environment. It is literally their manager who will dictate whether you have a good work experience or not.
Okay, I have an example that I am an example. Do you remember where we worked together? Mm-hmm. Our boss took a leave. Yeah. And then another boss came.
Yeah.
Bitchiest of bitches.
Yeah.
And then I left.
Yeah.
And my that boss had pulled me aside and said, "Why are you leaving? Are you leaving because I left and you weren't happy?" Yeah. And I said, "Yes, 100%. And she's like, "Had I stayed during that time, would you have stayed?" I'm like, "Most likely."
Absolutely. And you know what? Okay, like I said, Alysha and I in this one company went through like 5 million and one bosses. And you know, there were
so many different rules,
and
Raman.
it's so crazy because, okay, so
remember she naked us because we came 10 minutes late and then we're leaving at normal time.
That was stupid. That was just
we
silly.
like used
we're
to
all
work
adults.
through lunches sometimes and things like that. Like, come on.
Yeah.
The job is done. The job's done.
Honestly, I think you do come to an age where you figure out what kind of boss you want and what kind of work environment you want. I feel like, yeah, we were young and we put up with that shit where it was like, we literally came in like 10 minutes late and then we, you know, still left on time and they made such a big fit about it. And they pulled us aside, guys. They pulled us aside because we did this. And that is just micromanaging and nobody likes a micromanager.
The department was empty.
Exactly. Everybody quit
it's
eventually there.
It's not like we were the first people to walk out the door that day.
Yeah, absolutely. And we were just baffled. We were just like, we're adults. We get our work done and like, you know, why does it matter? And I think like now I am at an organization that doesn't look at timestamps, like what time did I start working and what time am I signing off? It's just about like, am I getting my work done? And I remember when I joined my current organization, I did ask, I was like, how does hours work? Because we were working from home. I had no idea like, what is this new, like, what are the new norms, right? From working from home, do I have to sign on? Do I have to sign off or whatever the case is? And she was like, we're all adults. Like, you know to get your work done. Like, as long as you get work done, we're fine. Yeah. And I thought that was so amazing. And I think that's part of the reason I do like my job. But sorry, back to, like, that role we were in where okay, so this is the weird thing. We had one boss that we liked, but her boss was bad. And it impacted her. Yeah. And in the long term impacted us. Yeah, it did. Right? Which was also like such a fucked up trickle effect.
Yeah, it was. And it was really unfortunate that happened. Yeah,
very unfortunate.
We even had a boss that we thought we were gonna like and then was a little too honest to the point that this boss, I liked her. We had a relationship outside of work because we would talk. But the thing about her was that I didn't appreciate because I was raised to be opinionated. Mm-hmm. Social butterfly and still get my job done. But she frowned upon that with us, if you remember that, because you're the same way. Yeah. She frowned upon us and had said, oh, the new place you're going to, make sure you don't act like the way you do here.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Oh my God.
That pissed me off because guess what? I'm exactly who I am there. I am here. And my boss doesn't walk in and be like, oh, you're chit-chatting or whatever. My boss will like join the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we had very interesting bosses at that company and such a different dynamic. Like we had a chill boss, we had a good boss, we had a bad boss, we had like the crazy boss, but
judgmental bosses. So the bottom line is, guys, like we were together in a group of 4 women that were part of each team. We always followed each other, like we were always put in the same teams. And we would sit amongst each other, but we would also like help each other. So have you ever felt like, you know, yeah, we all work from home, but I'm sure, do you ever miss ever going to an office space and working and bouncing ideas off of another person though?
No.
I feel like I would miss that because sometimes I feel like I need to bounce an idea off of someone.
I never want to go into a workplace ever in my life again.
So Raman is full-time home. I'm part-time home. But I like sometimes going in and chit-chatting during this pandemic because like it kind of helps me bounce ideas off, and we used to do that amongst us four. And they used to take that as a sign of socializing, not working. And you need breaks. There's work-life balance, and I feel like they didn't know that as a corporation. And while we're talking about horrible bosses, let's talk about the fact that we bring horrible bosses from the US to Canada that have no education on human resources, because that's something that is not looked upon.
HR between US and Canada is very different.
Well, they don't even have a fucking certificate program there for it. You're just, you're a personnel. That's what it's called in the US.
It's very different. It's just like their HR business partner.
Yeah. That's it. That and personnel.
Yeah. It's very different. I work for the US right now, and occasionally, you know, I get looped in on the Canadian emails and the Canadian PVPs and stuff like that, and there is like a big difference between like how the Canadian PVPs and the US PVPs handle kind of the situation or the business, or like
they're a lot more lenient, or they can be really bitchy, like one or the other.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a completely different process, and yeah, it's like a culture shock, right? When you do have, like, for example, right now I have this is very interesting because I report into my boss who is in Canada and is supporting like Canada and US, but like primarily Canadian payroll. But the person I work with is like my US boss, and she's in Miami, and you know, such a chill personality.
Because she lives in Miami, bro.
Oh my
it's
God.
always sunny.
Well, she's from New York originally, and she lives in Miami now.
Sunshine days.
And honestly, like, she has such a chill personality, and it's so weird. Like, the two personalities of the bosses are so completely different. One is very, like, on top of everything, wants to kind of know, like, everything and be in the loop of everything, versus the US boss that's very, like, you know, as long as kind of things get done, like, I'm okay with that, right? So it is a very different dynamic. I would say, yes, I do like working with my US boss a little bit more because there is that chill factor. I think as employees, we want freedom and accountability.
Yeah.
I think I can speak on behalf of...
We want to be trusted as adults.
Nobody wants to be like, oh, you came in at 9:10, not 9 o'clock.
Because let's be honest, all of us must work past the time we're supposed to work most nights. Some nights we have to put in extra time. Yeah, so, like, I hate when people do that. I don't think that's fair. Or, like, you should only have a half an hour lunch.
Yeah, absolutely not. Or even, like, the bosses that are just, like, time watchers. I just don't understand. If you're a time watcher boss, you're really not doing anything for your employees. Like, I understand if your employee is coming 30 minutes late every day, but if your employee 99% of the time is coming in on time, and then there's that one day that they're coming in late or they didn't explain why they're coming in late, like, it's okay. You have to treat your employees like adults.
Yeah, well, I've been late all week. I've been late all week. This is OCD at its finest. I wasn't joking.
This is really funny, guys. Alysha's dad just came in and I was having an OCD moment, but we appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, I came in late all week.
Was your boss like, why?
No, I sent her voice notes. I'm running late. This is why. It was a different excuse for every reason. But it's fine, whatever. She knows I'm not usually late. We all
do it. Haven't you seen the meme? It's like, I'm running late, and the late is the Starbucks line.
But listen, yeah. That used to be me at our job. But can I be real for a second? I was late this week, and then today, like, she's like, leave, let's leave. And I'm like, I was late. She's like, so? And I'm like, okay, bye. She's like, you didn't even take a lunch. I'm like, yeah, I didn't have time. She's like, go. And I'm like, all right, I'm out, bye.
I think everybody thinks they can be a boss, but not everybody has the boss qualities.
And, okay, so I really appreciate about this manager. she never says, like, I'm her subordinate or anything. My employee, she says, my colleague.
Oh,
I respect that.
I respect that too.
Yeah, like,
Absolutely.
kudos to you to take me as an equal, even though you're at a higher position.
Or like you say, my team member,
Yeah.
or, this is so-and-so, she's a part of my team, or something like that. You don't say like, oh, I'm her manager. And
or my employee.
My employee, this is my employee. Yeah,
or my subordinate.
Absolutely.
Do people use the word subordinate anymore?
I hope not.
Yeah, can you imagine?
I hope not. But I mean, like, I do think as a manager, okay, so I don't know if you've thought about this before. I have thought about this. Like, if I were a manager, what kind of manager would I be, right? And I think, like, I take qualities of managers that I really liked and I appreciated. And, like, what you said, like, qualities like treating your team members as equal and adults and responsible. Because I think we reflect how we like being treated the most.
Yeah.
So when I think about myself as an employee, my favorite jobs or my favorite positions where I did feel autonomy and I did feel like I'm not getting micromanaged or somebody's not time watching me. So I feel like that's how I feel the most accomplished, and that's the type of manager that I want to be. But like I said, like, thinking that you're gonna be a good manager and being a good manager are like completely two different things.
And okay, so that's going to bring me to my next point. But at my previous job, do you remember I was managing the admins here in Eastern Ontario? And my thing with them at first was, I don't know, they were kind of happy that I came into place because they thought I was going to fix everything.
Yeah.
Which I ended up fixing and making it more productive. But do you know what they were missing the entire time? Was just communication. Everyone from Calgary would only send them an email. They would not pick up the phone and have a 2-second conversation with them. And as soon as I did that and showed them that appreciation, I started showing up at each location every week to make them feel more comfortable. And they appreciated that
like
even
creating
more.
a connection, right?
That too. And then I even opened up the doors to say, like, this was my thing I used, and I would probably use this if I become a manager. I said, okay, what stays in Vegas what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And I'm like, this is your moment.
Yeah.
You need to vent it out. Go for it. Nobody needs to know about it. You need to tell me something. It happens now in the next 5 minutes. It never happened again. Treat this as your Vegas. That was my office. And they did. A lot of them did. A lot of them would come in and, like, pour their hearts out.
No.
And they felt so much better after, because they're like, we never had someone here to listen to us, because it was such a man-dominated world that they were so happy. And they're like, you handle the men so well.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I think with men, it's tricky, but with women, it's even bitchier because you're a woman as well. And that's the part that pisses me off, because we're all in the same line to do the same fucking thing. Yeah. So why do women act like men when they shouldn't?
I think because women feel like when they are in a powerful position or in a higher up hierarchy position, they feel like they have to prove themselves. And I do think it's true. I do think women in a managerial position feel like they have to prove themselves more than men, because you have to prove that you earned to be in this position and that you could almost, I don't want to say this, but do as good as a man would do. Okay, so I have a VP right now. Holy fuck, is she brilliant. She's actually a very brilliant VP for HR. Yeah. She's in a dog-eat-dog world because it's all men on the leadership team. And can I tell you, she's a hardball. But I respect her so fucking much. She reminds me of my mom. Because she tells you how it is. Yeah. But she will also fuck up anyone that fucks with her team. Because if they're wrong, so I'm new to her. Yeah. Someone tried to fuck with me. She was CC'd on the email. And she didn't even call me to ask me the story, because she knew that wasn't the story. And I don't know how. Gave me the benefit of the doubt and fucked that person up. And I was honestly so thankful to know that someone so strong and high up had my back, no matter how it made her look. And that's one thing about her I respect, that she's all for her team. Yeah. As long as we make her look good, she's also going to always have our back. But she doesn't fuck with anyone. Yeah. And, like, they can't fuck with her. And people, you know what? She gets bad cop. And that's the shit that pisses me off about women. That's what I feel. I feel like women in higher up positions get played as the bad cop. But they're not. Because if a man was fucking doing it... They're just being sturdy and on point and, sticking to their decisions. And I feel like, like what you were just about to say, that if it was a man doing it, I don't think anybody would question that decision twice. And it's like, if a woman does it and now it's like, oh, she's a bitch.
Yeah.
Right? But there are the bitchy
They are.
ones.
And
there are some.
Raman
There
and
are
I've
some.
had those together.
Okay, so
the ones that aren't, they don't possess any emotional intelligence.
Okay, so I have to talk about my last job, about my boss that I hated.
Yeah, please.
Sorry, I didn't like hate her, but she just was such
She led
a
you
robot.
on. It was
She
like a fuckboy that would basically.
And now she's leading somebody else on. So it's like the same situation. It's like history repeating itself.
So guys, it's like a fuckboy that you're like, he's telling you he loves you. He loves everything you're doing. Your blowjobs are amazing. He's like, yeah, things are going great. It's going to lead to a great relationship.
Then he somebody else.
Yeah, and then he's like, sorry, I don't know where you thought this was going, but it's over.
And it's the same thing, like what we mentioned. As a manager, you want to coach a mentor. And then this last manager that I had, you know, she was, you know, I was interviewing for an internal position because I was on contract, made me feel like, oh, I had a chance and stuff like that.
She really did.
And you know what? I should have known, because this company, it basically, they don't just, I mean, they have to post their job because they have to give everyone an equal opportunity. And they like to say they're very diverse, but there was like no diversity. I was the only diverse person in there in the entire team.
That's another podcast.
I was literally like the only brown person
we need to talk about
between a whole bunch of non-colored people. And she made me believe that like I had a chance and stuff like that. And I had my hesitations.
Hold on. You also followed up with her on numerous accounts.
Numerous occasions. And this is why she was terrible. Because also she was such a robot. Like when you would talk to her, like you just did not know what she was thinking. I think she was a horrible boss in the sense of like she had no connection with her employees.
Full poker face.
She had poker face the whole time, so it made her seem snaky.
Yeah.
Like when the whole thing happened, I was just like, I had one thing in my mind. I'm like, you're such a snake. You looked at me in my face with confidence and like, you know, and you were just a poker face. And the thing is, I should have known better, because this company, they always slate people.
But how
so they
could,
always
this
already
isn't your
pick.
fault.
No, it's not. And I love my job now, so
but
I don't
you
even
can't
care.
say then I should have known better, because you were told one thing and led on.
But that's what I'm saying. You have these snaky bosses that make you feel otherwise, or they make you think otherwise. But, you know, companies sometimes already have a person for that position, and they just, like this company, but they just have to post it to legally give everybody an equal opportunity. But sometimes they already have a person in mind, right? And that was the case here. And it was, but she's such like a bitch.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm pretty pissed for you. I remember how upset you were too.
Yeah, and you know what? Like everything happened for the better, because I love my boss now and I love the company I'm at. And you know, had that not happened, I wouldn't have kind of reached where I am now. But it's so interesting because I am still in contact with people there, and they still have like that same feedback about that boss and how she's acting that way towards other people. And it's like bitch. And you know what? I just feel like she might be smart, but it doesn't make her a good boss.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? Like it literally, nobody likes her. So what kind of boss are you if nobody can even like you? And I don't think people have to like you as a boss, but they at least have to respect you. And if they don't even respect you, then
what's the point?
Then you're a shitty boss.
You are. And so I think that brings us to that point, that if you are a boss or want to become someone who manages people, you really need to have emotional intelligence. You need to be able to relate to others. And I think what people lack to do is put themselves in that other person's shoes. Had she put herself in your shoes, she probably would not have wanted to be treated that way.
Absolutely.
And so I think that's the first step. Let's have emotional intelligence, right? We're not saying put your feelings in business, but emotional intelligence is one thing. The second thing is having the courtesy to make sure you have a training plan and coaching plan. You should, like, I know a lot of shitty managers where I work right now, where people are shocked that they're getting let go. Yet we've asked the manager, have you spoken to this candidate, like your employee, and told them and given them warning for
giving
coaching?
Them feedback.
And do you know what they say? Yes to our faces. And then that employee will turn around, look at their boss and be like, you told me I was doing great.
Yeah.
You told me I got the highest bonus out of everyone. And you feel bad for them because you're like, I can see this person doing this because A, they don't like confrontation. Yeah. Or B, they don't know how to coach someone because they have a personal relationship. So once again, you should not have feelings and business together. Yeah. Because you need to know the division between that. If you're friends and you referred someone to work with you and you manage them, you should not set them up to fail. Because you bring their morality down. You make them feel like they are incapable of doing their job, and then they feel discouraged, and then they're demoted, which is even more embarrassing for them. Like, it's, you make them look like a fool, but at the end of the day, they represent you to the higher up. So I don't understand people's logic.
I honestly, I don't get it. And I think it just comes down to sometimes people think they're doing great. But, you know, managers need feedback too. This is why, I don't know. Okay, so there's two types of feedbacks, right? And there's one of the types of feedbacks where it's actually like your employees underneath you giving you feedback.
But it's not anonymous. I've never had one. Have you ever been given an anonymous
I have done an anonymous one.
But what did your company imply it? Like, did they give it to you?
Yeah, it was
I've
like
never received that.
It was like a survey that was sent out, and you had to
like
kind
how
of
they
rate
used
your
to do in
employee.
university.
Yeah, and this was the awkward thing. Okay, let me tell you about the awkward thing about this survey, which this survey wasn't really the best survey, because we're a team of like 5 people. And then you see the score, right? Because the manager sees the score. Say like 4 out of the 5 people have given the manager a 5, and you're that one person that has given the 1. You know that there's somebody on your team that has kind of like given you the low rating, right? So I feel like companies also have to be very smart with how they do these kind of feedback tests, and they have to kind of make sure that it makes sense.
They can't trace it back.
Although it was good that this company had this program, it wasn't the best one, because then I felt pressure because I was like, I don't want to be the one to give the low score, because what if it gives down like my manager's rating? But I fucking should have, to be honest, because she didn't deserve it.
You know what? And okay, so I've never been given that opportunity. I've only ever been in a peer evaluation where a manager has asked me, what can I do better to serve you? What am I supposed to tell you? Because you've been taught your entire life, especially in the HR world, because it's all about networking and who you know. You don't burn your bridges. Yeah. So now I'm supposed to fucking tell you that, by the way, I don't like you.
That's the thing, right? Everyone says don't burn your bridges. So you have to keep a good relationship with your boss, even if you don't like them. And that's sadly, like, even when we have left companies, we're all like...
We wish we could say, fuck you!
Yeah, we wish we could be like, fuck you. But we're all like, we wish you well.
Like, I've had exit interviews.
Thank you. You have taught me a lot of bullshit.
Exactly. Like, I've had exit interviews, guys, and I've never been able to be that honest, because it's like, fuck, this is what's going to follow me, and I can't do that. But then I've given exit interviews to other people, you know, conducted them, and damn, people can be honest.
Yeah? We need to be more like those people.
Customer service reps have no problem telling you how it is.
Yeah.
And they threw their manager under the bus.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, and I feel like my department here, where I work, takes it very seriously, and then does do something about it. But I don't think a lot of people out there do.
No, absolutely not. A lot of companies don't even do exit interviews, right? And how are they supposed to know their boss is the reason why you are leaving the company if they're not doing that exit interview? You and I, the company that we left, Alysha and I prayed for an exit interview. We were like, we are ready for this exit interview.
Left, and Raman left 2 weeks later. We started the trend.
Yeah. And literally did not get an exit interview, did not even get like a proper goodbye or anything, because they were so salty about us leaving.
We had to go say our goodbyes ourselves to the entire department.
VP of HR.
Yeah.
It's like, it was really weird, because I was like, don't be salty.
But remember, I gave our business cards to everyone? Unforgettable. They probably thought we left to go start our business.
Probably. But I mean, I think like overall the lesson here is that, you know, your boss is going to kind of dictate whether you like your job or not. So choose your boss wisely. I feel like when you are looking for a job, I know especially me, I am also looking for what kind of boss am I going to have. I don't want the fucking micromanaging up my ass all the time. Like, what are you doing? Or where time have you come? Like, I want to make sure like I'm treated as an adult. And there are questions that you can ask in an interview that will dictate like what kind of manager you're going to have, or kind of give you more information about them.
I totally agree. So, you know what, guys? If you have a bad manager out there, stick it through. I hope you can try to tell them somehow, because it's a tough position.
We want to hear your bad manager stories.
Yeah, and, you know, I hope you get a better boss next time. And remember, if you're going to become someone who manages or becomes a manager, please do better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening. If you're not already following us on Level Up with Raman and Alysha on Instagram. And Robin's like, oh, Alysha almost fucked that one up. No, guys, I got it. And if you want to share your story with us, please email us at ramanandalysha@gmail.com.
Thank you. That was well done. Well done. She almost fucked it up. Almost. But I'll give it to her. Thanks for listening, everyone. Hope you have a great day with your boss.
Bye.
Bye.